Harsh truths are probably one of my biggest specialties, and that's what we're going to talk about today. I'm going to give you 5, there's many, but I'm going to give you 5 harsh truths for you to start understanding, processing, and accepting so it can free you up so you don't feel so stuck. So welcome to episode 99 of the Positivity Experience. 5 harsh truths you need to hear. Check it out. Hey everybody, and welcome to episode 99 of the Positivity Experience. It's your girl Lori, and I forgot who I was there for a minute. And we are going to be talking about some harsh truths, baby, because it is my specialty, that harsh, direct approach. And before we jump into it, I want to give a massive shout out to all of the newest Patreon members. Today on the Patreon, we are talking about grief. What is it? How you process it? What are the phases of it? It's very important if you're in grief. Over at the Patreon, you can find us at www.patreon.com/the Positivity Experience, or you can just click the link in the show notes. So anywhere you get the description of this podcast, if you're interested in joining the Patreon, this week is on that specific topic, grief, and there's going to be a in the abundance tier over there, we are going to have a form that you can fill out for the new year for some topics that you want me to discuss, both here and on there. And then we're going to do our giveaway this week. So I'm super duper excited. Thank you all of my newest Patreon subscribers. I love you guys and value you so much. I hope that you guys' Thanksgiving went well if you're here in the States, and if you're across the globe and across the pond, I just hope that you had a great week, So I want to talk to you a little bit about harsh truths, and it's probably one of the things that has been the most effective in my own healing, and I didn't love it. I definitely didn't love it when I first started, when psychiatrists and psychologists and even professors and teachers and scientists and all of these things that I work with, were pretty direct with me. And, you go through that little bit of the victim mentality of what? What do you mean it's me? It's not me. What are you talking about? And so sometimes the harsh truths, you don't want to hear them because you want it to be somebody else's responsibility. But the reality is what I'm getting ready to talk to you about is your responsibility. And quite honestly, I could have done 500 harsh realities for you. But I didn't think that you really wanted to listen to a podcast for the next 7.5 months. So for one topic. So I thought, hey, let me just hit you with 5. And later on, if you want, I can hit you with more. But yes, so I want to talk to you about a few, and you guys know most of my content. None of this is going to be brand new for you, but I thought I would take a deep dive into it because if you follow any of my content, my entire content is harsh realities. So, and I was just talking about this over on the grief episode. So I thought I would start with this one. And that is, everybody that you love is going to die, and you are too, and you don't know when. That's right. It's going to happen. Right? And the more you try to pretend as though it's not going to happen, that's denial, which is a part of grief, but you're grieving before it's even happened. Okay. So now you start focusing on everybody, your loved ones crossing over. You're like, oh my God, what am I going to do? And now you're trying to be on guard, and yeah, but that's not serving you. And it's definitely not serving the relationship with your loved ones, right? Because if you're constantly in fear of when are they going to die, everything's going to be a little bit codependent, because now you're going to create codependency because you're going to be like, oh my God, if I never know when this is going to happen and I'm super codependent on it and I can't accept it, well, that's problematic. So, radical acceptance is my jam. It's literally the foundation, and it's going to be a big part of the 90-day program that I have for my clients and it always is, but it's that radical acceptance. So I'm even notching it up a little bit more aggressively, and because it's important that you understand it, because so many times people go, I'm losing sleep thinking about when is this going to happen, or what if this happens? Well, the reality is not what if it happens. It is absolutely going to happen. It's going to happen to you as well, but it is going to happen. So the acceptance of the loved ones, I'm a big practitioner of living detached. And what I mean by detached, and people hear that and they go, well, God, that's apathetic. No. I am so in value with the people, family, friends, cats, animals, anything like that are around me, because I realize that they are temporary. In my life, they are temporary. Everything in your life, including your life, is temporary. So because I know that, if I know it's temporary, I'm not going to worry about when is it going away. I'm going to value it more without codependency, without attachment. I'm going to value the time that I have with whatever it is, right? With whatever it is, a sunny day, a nice pool day, a ski trip. Like I'm going to value whatever it is, but I'm only going to value it knowing that I don't need that to make me happy, and that the parts that are there I can enjoy in that moment. So I was just speaking about this over on the Patreon, but I'm approaching 95,000 hours of mindful teaching. So I'm a mindful expert, which means I teach people to stay present, stay in the present space of mind. What does it mean to stay present, mindful, and living with intent, manifestation, meditation? It's a big part of my practice. And that is going to be one of your best friends when it comes to accepting your loved one's passings. Right? Because, and again, I thought I would start with this because I talked a lot about it over there on Patreon. And I figure like this is so important for you to really wrap your head around, because as you're living in the anxiety of, oh my God, what if this happens? It's going to debilitate you. And those relationships are just going to become so codependent that it's going to be a lot for everybody. So the first thing is the radical acceptance of understanding that no matter who you are, how much money you have, how famous you are, what you do for a living, how many followers you have, how amazing you are, how kind you are, you're still going to go. And so are they. So you value the time by staying mindful and present now. And that goes really good into this next one. That is your job, your money, your car, your house. That's not going to make you any happier than your soul is. Now, let me explain what that means, because this is really important. And we've all done it. Like, we've all done it. Like, hey, I'm feeling sad. I'm going to go. I mean, God, it's Thanksgiving weekend. So yes, I did some shopping. But I did it with intent on things that I wanted to buy and, you know, kind of see what I was trying to do for Christmas. And so I went in with a plan. And, but sometimes if you're not doing it with a plan, you're just numbing yourself. You're like, okay, I'm going to feel better if I buy this, or I'm going to feel better if I make more money. Well, now you're just going to move the goalposts. Now you're making more money, mo problems. So now you just have nicer things, quote unquote, nicer material things. And now you get paranoid because you're like, well, why are they friends with me because I'm rich? Okay, so now we've created more problems. You know, I'm not asking you not to have it. Hell, I'd be perfectly happy if somebody dropped some money into my lap, millions of dollars. I would start, but I would do stuff with it. I would start like different rescues. I would give a lot of money to different animal charities. Animals are my jam. You know, and I would try to do a lot more like that. Some things in the mental health world, but mostly towards animals, right? So if you're doing things with intent, that's going to fill your soul. But if you're just constantly chasing that next position, that next dollar sign, that next car, that next house, that next this, you're going to keep chasing things. It's not going to make you happier. You realize if you have insecurities of cheating, oh, you're still going to have insecurities of cheating with $74 million in the bank. Okay. You're driving a Tesla? You're driving a Bentley? You're driving a G-Wagon? Well, your insecurities are still there. Right? And so you have to understand that those things aren't going to make you happy. Yes, have goals. Yes, desire to feel better, do better, be better. Yes, but that doesn't always mean materially. In this world, yes, we have to pay our bills. We have to save money. We have to do all of these things if you want to have some kind of a sustainable life. But that doesn't mean that these things are going to give you that inner peace. So it's fine to strive for them. But don't ever strive for them and think that that's going to make you happy. Because if you're not willing to do the process of them, you're not willing to go through the mundane piece of it, the slow processes of it, the things that you don't want to do. I was saying this to a client of mine just last week and somebody had told me this years ago, and it stays on loop in my head. Successful, and I'm using quotations, so whatever you deem that as. The difference between successful people and quote unquote unsuccessful people is successful people do the things that you don't want to do, and they do them first, and they don't complain about them. See, don't go, oh my God, it's Monday. Monday is the best day of the week. It gives you a new start to a week. You can create it's all about how you look at it. If you're going to dread Monday and dread Tuesday and dread Wednesday, then guess what? It's going to be a crappy life. Okay, so that's why you have to accept it. And all of these little things, you do the things you don't want to do and don't complain about them. because that is what builds the character. That's what builds the self-esteem. That's what gives you the confidence. In turn, making you happier inside, in turn, making you happier in general. So stop chasing that level of happiness and thinking that if I buy this and do this and all of those things. Listen, I'm not telling you not to do retail therapy from time to time. I'm a big fan of it. But just realize that your mindfulness, and I have a whole different thing on mindfulness coming out, and I was trying to wait to get to 100,000 hours, but that's still like 5,000 hours. So that's a long time. But yeah, so I think that goes into kind of the third piece of that, right? So we know what the first piece is, right? The first piece in general, right, is, everyone's going to pass. So you want to maximize your lifestyle. And when I say lifestyle, I don't mean money. I mean lifestyle inside. Be mindful, be grounded, stay present, be grateful, do kind things for people because you choose to, not because you want something in return. The moment you do something kind with an expectation of anything in return, that's a level of manipulation. It might not be intentional, but it is a level of it. Okay. Now, here's the problem. If you are constantly chasing happy, and I don't just mean materially, you're obsessed with it. I have to find happy. I have to find happy. Well, you keep looking everywhere but you, right? So this kind of goes into 2A, right? Not really 3. Let's call this 2A because I'm going to give you a couple more. But 2A, because this goes into part of that materialness. But stop thinking that humans, if I had just have a partner, if I just had more friends, stop thinking that these people are supposed to be in your life to make you whole. They're the icing to the cake. But you can eat cake without icing. Does it sometimes look prettier? Yes. Does it finish it off? Yes. Is it great? Yes. But you don't need a person to complete you. You can do that on your own. So if you're obsessed with constantly looking for happiness, you're missing it all in all. You're going to be chasing that all your life because it's within you. It's literally internal happiness. It's in the word, internal happiness. So you have to find that there. And I feel like, probably, and the fifth one is probably one of my, well, they're all my favorites. So I'm not going to say it's my favorite, but it's going to be one that's going to be a good thing for you to know, because in combination of you being happy, now this is 3. The other one was 2A. Let's call this 3. This for my people pleasers. Hey guys, talking to you is you will not, cannot, and is not your responsibility to try to make everybody happy. You will lose yourself. You will stay lost. You will not love yourself, and you will become so codependent and angry that people are not giving you the same love that you're giving. It's not love. You cannot please a person. It is not your job. If they are not good, right? Let's say you're not good. Just let's use you for an example. You're not good. Like, you're miserable. You're sad. You feel insecure. You haven't processed your traumas. And your friends try to cheer you up. And you're like, yeah, it's great for a little bit. And then it's not. You go home. You're not happy anymore. Right? Or you carry the expectation like, doesn't my friends know that I'm sad? Well, yeah, it's not their job to make you happy. And so it's that also pertains to you. A person can only be happy when they're happy with themselves. And that's just a fact. So the more you try to that's not a word, be a chameleon, right? Sorry, I just made myself laugh. But if you are trying to be a chameleon and change the way everybody, to fit into everybody else's box, then you don't even know what box you live in. Right? So then you lose yourself. You lose yourself because you're focused too much on the kids, or you're focused too much on the spouse or the family or the friends or work, or now you've lost yourself. Now you're trying to meet everybody's needs and put everybody in a little box, and I want them to be happy. It's not going to happen. That is a trauma response called the fawn response. Fight, flight, freeze, fawn. That is a fawn response. So how do you fix that? Well, you want to start healing your roots. So you have to go back to your own healing. This is always going to come back to you. This is none of my content is going to be like, hey, you know what's going to make you feel better? When Bobby apologizes to you. Like, that's never going to come out of my mouth. You never seek your inner peace and your inner validation from external sources. It just isn't possible. And again, I'm telling you this from a place of 90, almost 5,000 hours of mindfulness, of telling you why the meditations, the mindfulness, the manifestations, the things that you are so much more in control of your life, but you're not willing to do it because you keep thinking that you have to make everybody else happy with who you are. If you want to go hug a tree, lick a toad, I do not care. Go do those things. As long as you're not hurting an animal or hurting another person intentionally is the key. A person can get hurt because they're living in their own space and their feelings are hurt because of some stuff that they haven't processed. That's not on you. But don't intentionally harm somebody or try to manipulate the situation. But that being said, don't try to make them happy with you either. So on top of you not making everybody else happy, because you ain't gonna, you can keep trying it all you want. You're going to lose yourself left and right. But it's no one else's job to make you happy either. So this is like 3A. You know how we had like 2A? This is like 3A. Because it's no one's job to make you happy. It's no one's job to walk you through this process. Be there. That's fine. Nobody needs to harm you. No one needs to drag you down. But they also don't have to drag you on your journey. Because if you're looking, going back to what we said in 2, stop looking for material things, and a person is a material thing for you. Stop looking for that to make you whole. So that's why you have to appreciate people and respect them where they are. And they can respect where you are. Now, that being said, if you don't like their actions, if you don't like their behaviors, if you don't feel as though it aligns with you, then distance from it, accept it, and move forward. Send love and light. No need to judge it. They're on a different part of their journey. That's a big revelation you need to know. Your judgment doesn't make them look bad. It speaks more volumes to you, right? About you, because it lets me know that if you're in judgment of somebody, you still have things that you're working on, which I'm here for. That's my gig. I'm here for it, but I'm not going to contribute to a conversation you have about judging somebody when you're not in a good space yourself. So why am I going to listen to you about what your opinion is over this person? Right? So you have to understand that. Okay. And that goes into number 4. This is number 4. Oh my God, perfection is not real. Stop it. Stop trying to be perfect and put yourself to some weird, unrealistic, like, standard or like elevation of like this like pedestal on I got to do this, I got to do that. Let me break this down for you. Perfectionism is fake. It is not real, and it is always rooted in insecurity. Maybe you were insecure because you were told you couldn't do anything right. So now you're trying to prove everybody wrong, and you right, but that comes from insecurity. That comes from trauma. You were not given a handbook when you're born. None of us have the book of life, okay? There's tree of life, but there's not a book of life, okay? So your version of perfect, like I've said a million times, and mine might be vastly different. So when you are trying to hold yourself to this level of imaginary perfectionism, in turn, you're now going to carry entitlement. You're going to think other people should do it your way and only your way. Right? You guys know I'm going to always create content. It's here for you. It is effective. It is proven effective. It has saved my life quite literally. But I'm not going to say, you better do this. It's here if you need it. My services privately are here if you need it. Would I ever say, you have to do this? I'm never going to do that. My job isn't to change you. My job is to be here if you need it. Right? And that's where I need you to understand that for yourself. Your perfectionism is fake. If you don't want to make the bed, don't make the bed. You're going to sleep dishes and sink. That's fine. Like, seriously. Don't sit there and beat yourself up. There's so many more things in life to worry about than those things. Now, if you feel better by doing it, do it. But don't do it because you were told this has to be done. Do it because you choose to do it. And listen, sometimes you're going to have to do things you don't want to do, or you're just going to always wait for this fake thing called motivation. And motivation's not real. It's a BS narrative. It's something we use to say, oh, I don't feel like doing it. I don't have motivation. All right, you just don't feel like doing it. But sometimes we have to do the things that you don't feel like doing. And it's like, that's the biggest thing for you is like so many times your perfectionism prevents you from doing the things, starting the things. What if I fail? Perfectionism is petrified, quite the opposite of where I want you to be. Petrified of failure and mistakes. Oh my God, really? But that's some old unhealed trauma that somebody before you told you. Don't adopt that. Do not adopt that. Okay. So you need to understand failure is beautiful. It is so amazing. Mistakes are spectacular. I will tell you that in just about every bit of my content 100 times a week. Because I want you to understand that if you don't fail, if you don't make mistakes, you're never going to take a risk, and you're never going to learn that you can get up, you can dust your shoulders off. You can get up and go, you know what, that really didn't work. Let's give it a different try. Maybe this piece of it worked. Maybe it didn't. Maybe none of it works, and that's fine. So you learn something. You keep it moving. But if you're focusing solely on perfection, you're going, perfection by who? Like, by what standard? Again, there's not a holy grail. There is no holy grail of perfectionism. My perfectionism, I've said it a million times. October weather, fire pit outside in the mountains. Oh my God, that's perfect for me. You might be like, ugh, I want to be at the beach. That's fine. That's perfect for you. Neither one of us are wrong. Okay, so don't keep striving for something because, of what somebody before you with unhealed trauma that never dealt with their stuff has now put on you because it makes them more comfortable because they need control. They have control issues because they haven't processed stuff. And, I think that that's probably like such like a big thing for you because so many people get so caught up in it that, what is it like? Okay. But it's not real, and so this is I kind of want to make this 4A, kind of doesn't relate to it, but kind of is because I'm mindful practitioner here, is time only exists in this present second, not tomorrow, not 5 minutes ago, not yesterday. It only exists right now. So stop wasting it by either going, oh my God, okay, what if I fail? Oh, if I can't do this right, whatever right is, if I can't do this right, then I'm not going to do it. Well, yeah, give your effort, but expect yourself to not know it. You can't just go into a company, start a company, go to another job and be like, yeah, I'm supposed to know everything. What? No, you're not. If you don't know, you say, I don't know. Can you help me understand this more? Yeah, I would much rather work with somebody who goes, ooh, I have no idea. I can find out, but I don't know. Yes, great. Do that. I don't want you to be like, yeah, I got it. And I'm like, okay, well, you said you had it. So like, do you have it? Well, no, I'm not really sure. Okay, so you don't have it. Well, don't sit there. It's not going to make you look any better by going, I got it. And then now I got to figure out why you don't have it. And now it's a problem. I'd rather you straight up from the door be like, I got no clue. I can look. I'll figure it out. Okay, great. Or let me show you or whatever it is. So again, time only, you've realized time's not coming back. Any time that has already passed is never coming back in your life again. Not even for a second. It's done. It's gone. So you got to stop with the whole like, I got to plan for the future. Yes, have a goal. Yes, have a strategy. But don't sit there and let it cripple you. Because you're like, well, if I don't do it this way, then it's not right. Then what am I going to do? Now that goes into anxieties. So you want to get that addressed. It could be something past. It could be something that somebody said to you. Okay. Now, number 5. This is like one of my favorites, but honestly, they all are. No one cares how hard your life is. And baby, this is your life journey. You stop giving everybody the pen to write your autobiography. Okay. Now I want to go into that because I'm going to give you the harsh truths. Nobody cares how difficult your life is, or mine, or the neighbors, or the person down the street. Every human being listening to this and in this world today is either has dealt with something or is dealing with something presently. You can be empathetic. You can be there if needed. But at the end of the day, it is a mindset that you have to understand. And when I tell you, like I was saying earlier, but it was in the Patreon, that I was saying my victim mentality was in so high gear from the time I was 15 to the time I was 27 years old. That's a lot of time. 12 years, probably a little bit longer, but like after mom died, it really kicked in. Solid years of victim mentality. Oh, poor me, my mom died. Oh, poor me, I was molested. Oh, poor me, this. Oh, poor me, I lived in a house with rats. Oh, poor me, I lived in a van. I mean, oh my God, the list is endless. You'll see it in the book when it comes out. But like, when I tell you I lived that dark victim type mentality, oh God, I lived it. I didn't even like myself. I couldn't even stand my own company because I was so negative. Nobody wants to be around negative people, right? And I was like, ooh, looked up victim mentality. It was me with like an okay sign, like, hey, I got you. Yeah, ooh, God, I needed to get out of that. And that radical acceptance and these harsh realities is what saved my life. I don't know where I would be. The little Filipino doctor that was my first psychiatrist that told me this would be my profession, and I thought he was crazy because I was like, you're kidding me, right? Like, I am a total nightmare right now. So yeah, that's why you're going to be good at your job. I was like, okay, he's totally lost his mind. And then, we started talking a little bit about Buddhism, and we turned into like mindfulness. And then I started my mindful practice, did that and still do it. So well over 17 years. So I have, like I said, almost 95,000 hours of mindfulness. But what did I have to do? Own my own stuff, not wallow in the fact that I had a difficult life, not wallow in the fact that I wanted my life to be different. I wanted my life to be like, well, if I would have just been adopted. Well, why did this happen to me? Well, woe is me this. Well, woe is me that. No one cares that you're having difficulties. I am here for you. I'm always going to be here for you. I'm going to hold your hand. I will straighten your crown as long as you want to feel better. Always. I always say on my approach and me as a person who works with people all over the world, it's very effective because it's not going to give you time to wallow. I'm going to value it. I'm going to acknowledge it. I'm going to validate that that's how you feel, but we're not going to live there. Okay. So when you have a difficult life and you understand that, and it took me a while, like I said, well over 12 years, but to understand that I'm the one that writes this. I'm the one that's writing my chapter. The more I live in my past, I keep giving pens and pencils to everybody else in the world. Here, write my life. Here, continue to own me. Here, continue to take over my energy. Here, continue to torment me. Right? If I focus on being molested, then isn't that me just living in that same space? Because it is. Yeah, it happened. Yeah, it sucked. But would I change it today? Here's my answer to that. I would not, because I would not be where I am today. I would not have the resilience. I mean, I don't recommend it, right? But I'm saying you have to understand with radical acceptance that your past is your past. It doesn't define you. It's just a part of you. Stop making it define you. And the reason I wanted to save this one for the fifth one is because when I went through some massive, it wasn't DBT at the time, but it is DBT because I use it with my clients. But it's like when I went through that radical acceptance and I had a group of people, psychiatrists, scientists, and they were analyzing my brain because I'm intuitive and talk to dead people too. But they were doing that and they said, you know what? No one cares about how difficult your life was. And I was like, what? They're like, yeah. It sucks. We're here for you. We have empathy for you. But what are you going to do about it now? No one else cares. And I thought, oh my God, that's brutal. But it was so effective because I could take control of my life back. It doesn't mean I never wanted to forget my past. So you don't want to forget your past. You think you do. You don't. You don't want it to own you. You can't don't allow yourself to re-traumatize yourself by constantly giving your past life. Like the people or the situations that has made your life difficult, stop giving them the key to your book. You're letting them write your chapters for you. Feel it. You got to feel it to heal it. You have to process it. It sucks that you had a crappy life. But if you live in that space, it's going to eat you alive. It's going to eat you alive. So I want you to understand that the reality is this is your life. You are the only human being, the only one in your entire life being that is going to spend 100% of your life with you. That's a harsh reality. You are the only human, so you want to nurture it. The traumas inflicted on you is never your responsibility. Ever. It is real. You have to feel it. You have to process it. You have to grieve it. You have to allow yourself to process it. But don't get stuck there and don't start blaming it. Because if you start blaming it, now we know we have a reason that you have difficulties, a reason that life is harder, a reason that you have anxieties and depressions. There's a reason. Don't let the reason become the excuse. Okay? So your difficult life, yeah, it sucks, but nobody's going to come and save you. Like nobody cares that this is happening. But you are the author of your life. You are. So finding who you are is so important. And let's call this the bonus harsh truth. It's your job to find out who you are. And sometimes to find out who you are is to know who you are not. And we will talk about that in an upcoming podcast. Because sometimes it's harder to know who you are, but it's easier to know who you are not, even though you have a hard time accepting that that's not who you're not. So with that being said, that's 5 harsh truths, baby. There's so many more. And I always come from a place of love, because the moment you can accept that is the moment you take your power back. My biggest goal for anybody listening to this right now is I want you to take your power back. And you can do that. This is your life. You are capable. You are strong. You are worthy. And most importantly, baby, you deserve all the self-love you can give yourself. Check it out.